Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Homebrew Buffoonery. Okay, today I'm doing a copy of my Odinson stout that I did for a friend. He really liked it. It was really dark and sort of tasted of bonfire toffee and sort of caramelly kind of flavour to it. That's an oatmeal stout, and I thought I'd do another one for him today because it's his birthday soon and it'll be ready for him then. But I've two things that I'm looking at today. First is a modification to the old mash tun. After some feedback on another YouTube video, somebody commented on it, the fool that they were. But thanks very much for that. And the second thing is how I'm going to brew. So first off, I've been listening to Brewlosophy podcasts, and one of the very first podcasts that they do is about the no sparge method. And I've been thinking about this for a while because I did the stout before and it seemed like there was too much grain for the water. So I thought, well, maybe what if I put all the water in the same kettle? It would, maybe that'd make it a bit easier. And listening to the Brewlosophy podcast, they said no sparge is the way to go. So it was quite early on, a couple of years back, but that's what I'm going to do. So today I've got all my water in my stock pot here, and I've got 10 litres. And the grain bill for today is the same as before, which was 900 grams of Maris Otter, 150 grams of flaked oats, 150 grams of Crystal 300, and 150 grams of pale chocolate malt. And I'm going to be using a certain amount of hops, which I can't remember off the top of my head. It was Challenger, I think, maybe 15 grams, about 45 minutes in the boil. That might be right, that might be wrong, but I'll update you on that a little bit later on. And so I should have enough water here to, when the pump gets going, that it's not going to trickle out, and we'll get some water moving through it, and it should be good. And the second modification is this. Now, what I've got here is, you can see my return valve there. Well, that water's hot. You can see my return valve there. But what I was advised to do on my YouTube video was to put in some silicone hosing with some holes in it. And it was to prevent something called tunnelling. So I've managed to drill some holes in it. Don't think that's an easy task, because it isn't. You need a really sharp drill bit and a little bit of patience. And he said crimp the end so none of the work gets pushed out this way. Well, I haven't got any anything strong enough to crimp it, so what I've done is shove some blue tack in the end of it, so hopefully that'll be okay. So what happens is, I've had a little play of it already, but I've got my ball valve open and the pump is ready to go. So I'm just going to switch the pump on, and you'll see how the water comes out of the tube. So it's filling up very gently, and there you go. So we've got one coming on the end here, I've got one in the middle, and it's sort of worked out okay really. Bit of a bodge job, but it's not too bad, that, I don't think. I'll think about getting a proper sparge arm one day, but for now I'm going to run it like that and see how we get on. Okay, so that's us mashed in. Let's just leave it for an hour and see how it goes, see if the new spargy arm works and the no sparge method works. Okay, so if you can remember from the last oatmeal stout video, the running from it was very, very slow because there's quite a lot of oatmeal in it. I think that's what was making it a bit gloopy. But I think there's no sparge method to this is going to work out a little bit better, because there's a bit more weight of water on top of the grain, and it's going to force itself through the grain a little bit easier. The actual pump pipe is bang full, and there's no problems with the work coming back through the return, so everything seems to be going okay at 68 degrees, which is 154 or 155 Fahrenheit, and it's all going well. Okay, so in the best traditions of being a homebrew buffoon, I have neglected to watch my temperature, and it's dropped down to 61 degrees, which isn't good apparently. So I've moved it over to my big burner, and I'm going to get some heat back into it and get it up to 68 degrees where it needs to be. Other than that, everything else seems to be going okay. The water keeps flowing through the pump and it's clearing up. Just the temperature's a bit off. Problems with that, I think, are too many simple sugars, and there's a risk of it blowing up through the carboy airlock. So we'll just get the temperature back up and get some of those longer chain sugars in there, and it'll prevent that kind of blow off happening, which nobody wants to blow off. So what I've done is I've let it get back up to 66 degrees on the thermometer there, and I'm thinking it's going to be warmer down the bottom of the pan than it is on the top. So any water that's coming through the pump is going to heat that temperature up, keep that temperature up a little bit. So that's sitting nicely at 67 now, still going up a little bit. I will say that these little holes did get blocked occasionally, so what I've got is cunning homebrew tool, a paper clip, and I just stuck it in the holes every so often. The blue tack is holding up okay, and the wort seems to be clearing up a little bit. It's getting cleaner, definitely, and everything's going well. 20 minutes to go. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes into the boil now, and there's 10 grams of Challenger hops, and in she goes. I will note that this time I have wrapped the string around the top of the bag, so it definitely won't come undone like it did last time. Whirl flock. 15-20 minutes to go. Okay, so that's the end of the mash now. All I need to do is open the valve and see how much we get out. So to start with, there were 10 litres of water, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get about 8 litres out of it. The grain will soak up a couple of litres at least, and I haven't spilled wort on the floor because Jeff's main ball valve was open at all. Oh, shit. Now, as some of you may have seen in the technical edition videos, I've waffled on about getting myself a 2-pot system with some infinite loop thing going on, and I may even have put the link in one of the videos to the big system that I was looking to scale down. Well, we're one step further closer to that now. May I introduce to you pot number 2, Jeff. That's what I'm going to call him, Jeff. So I'm going to use him as a boil kettle today, because I'm going to drain off from the from what's going on at the minute. I'm going to drain it off into there and use that to boil. But what I've got is I've got a ton of piping, and I've got a ton more cam locks and stuff, and it's all set up more or less ready to go. I just need one extra washer in the top there, and I'm waiting for the pump, which should come this week hopefully, and then we'll have the 2-pot, 2-pump infinite loop system that we're looking for. All the water split between the 2 pots, get it nonsense in, and hopefully we'll get some decent beer out of it. Okay, so that's it cooled down now, and normally, well, I say normally, the last couple of times I've whirlpooled it twice and put it in a carboy then, but Brewlosophy is having a big impact on me at the minute, and I listened to a podcast yesterday, and he says, well, the point of whirlpooling is to get rid of some of the trube in the wort. But then the bloke said, well, actually the trube is helpful because it's good for mouthfeel and good for the yeast and a couple of other things that I can't quite remember, but he said it was really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dump it into the carboy now. And he also said that gravity is your friend, so leave it for 2 weeks and gravity will get any particles out of it, and you should get a nice clear beer. So that's what I'm going to do. One thing I haven't mentioned is the yeast I'm using, which is exactly the same as last time, which is a Gervin G12 yeast. I don't know anything other than that about it, and I'm going to use 5 grams, 5.5 grams, half the packet-ish for this, because sure that a full packet is way too much. So we'll dump it in the carboy and put it under stairs. I will also say the gravity of the last Odinson was 1052 original gravity. The gravity of this one on my new 2-pan multi-pump system was 10, 40, 4-ish, 45. So I'm 7 points down there, but hopefully the yeast will work a little bit better and we can still get it to 4, maybe 4.5%. The last thing of Odinson was 3.7%. It started at 1052 and ended at 1024, which is rubbish really, isn't it? So hopefully it being at 1045 won't make much of a difference and the yeast will do its work and we'll get some alcohol out of it. So let's get her into the old carboy. That's it. Okay, let us try not okay, let's see how much that is. There we go. So just had over 5 litres there. So what I've done is I've stopped it at just over 4.5 litres. I'll wait for that those bubbles to settle down, and then I'll pitch the yeast and stick the airlock on, put her under stairs, and yeah, not too bad. Okay, so that's another brew day over. There he is, the old Odinson stout, starting at 10:45, under stairs now, and all that's left is to sort of think about a brew day really. I'm pretty happy with the 2 pots. I'm happy with how that little spargy arm sort of worked. It sort of recirculated well. There was no real blockages, no real problems with it, and starting with all the water in the first stock pot is the way to go, I think. But I'm just trying to think back to the Brewlosophy podcast, and they said for a no sparge method you do need to increase the amount of grain that you have in your initial water. So I had 1.35 kilograms. I'd probably need to knock that up to 1.5 or maybe 1.6 because there is a noticeable loss of efficiency there. You know, it's 7 points of a gravity, so that's quite a lot really. Other things, you need to have a spare pair of pants, because if you don't make sure that the valve on your new stock pot Jeff isn't closed, it's going to go all over the floor and you're going to be kneeling on the floor and you're going to get wort all on your nice pants. So always have a spare pair of pants or close the valve. Otherwise, everything seems to be going pretty well really. I'm looking forward to getting the pump for the second vessel for Jeff. I'm right looking forward to that, and then I'll have a proper go at the 2-ton setup with both pumps going, and I'll have a look back on the YouTube video and we'll see how it goes. But you know, for now there's 4.5 litres of something that's going to be alcoholic and that a friend's going to like. It's for his birthday, so I hope he likes it. All the usual nonsense, you know. You can like and you can subscribe and go and brew something you've brewed before.